What happens when the world gets turned on its head? We're forced to look inward, perhaps become fearful, sometimes lash out at others. While there are others in the world who don't give up hope because they believe in people. Join me, Kevin Tibbles, and Amy Goldberg for our new podcast, Believe in People, where we meet those who don't give up hope. Marvin Frink soldiers on. After 15 years in the military, he returned from dangerous assignments a changed man. His tours in Iraq often left him contemplating suicide, like so many other veterans.
And that was when something happened that would change his and his wife, Tanisha's, lives forever.
They bought 42 acres of farmland and began raising cattle. Marvin calls it agritherapy, and he now assists other veterans trying to overcome the scars of war. Marvin and Tanisha, welcome to Believe in People. I guess my first question is, how in heaven's name did you end up being beef farmers?
It's a great question, brother. It's just one of those things that became therapeutic for us. Actually, my father saw that, getting to the beef cattle farming business would help me out therapeutically, brother. So it's nothing new to us, nothing new to our family. Coming from Florida, me and my dad did this all the time as kids. We went to different farms, went to different rodeos, and all he did was just spun me back around to something that I'm used to.
Well, and Marvin, your father, he was a reverend. Is that correct?
It is. Mm-hmm.
And could
Yes,
you tell me a little bit about him?
Absolutely. My dad was my hero. Not only my hero, but everyone else in the local community. As a matter of fact, the state of Florida. My dad was the Florida Baptist Convention leader for the state of Florida. Well-known guy. He was just a gentle giant of a person. And he was someone that was very big on education, very big on making sure that people were treated fairly, treated right, regardless of who you are. And he was just a unique individual. Someone big on school, education, especially church. Yeah. So that's a lot about him.
How did you end up in the military, Marvin?
It's a great question. So I went to college. I graduated high school a year early. Went to college, got in trouble, and then turned around and had to go to court for the first time for it. And the judge says, "Hey, you need to get out of this state here before you get into any trouble." And that's how I got into the military, by way of doing the right thing, not me getting into a massive, trouble, but I was headed down the wrong path. So my dad said, "Hey, let's just get into the military and move forward." And I never looked back, brother.
Wow. And then, Tanisha, how did you meet Marvin?
Well, my son was doing a senior project at his school, and he was doing it on PTSD and soldiers. And Marvin was one of the people they had assigned that you could come and talk to ask questions to. And one day we just drove up to his farm, and he was coming from the back pasture as we was coming up to the front pasture. And I asked him, "Excuse me, is your name Mr. Marvin?" And he said yes. And we've been together ever since.
She literally drove up to the driveway.
Wow.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I have to ask you because of what Tanisha's just said. I mean, what sort of things did you see in Afghanistan and Iraq? What you came home with PTSD, which is a tremendous thing to have to overcome. What sorts of things did you have to experience? And I'm assuming you're still trying to overcome it.
Yes. Was that a question for me or Tanisha? You mentioned Tanisha this time. Was that for me?
I'd like you to start answering it. Yeah, Marvin.
Absolutely. So just like anything, global war is exactly what it is. But global war doesn't prepare you for the effects, man, of um, death. It doesn't prepare you for um, seeing the unexpected that affects your morals, values, and your beliefs. Those are kind of things that you deal with afterwards every single day. But it was a job, at the time, and now is a point now from where we're trying to move forward with it, brother.
Now I'd like Tanish to perhaps answer, and that is, what kind of a man did you see walking through that pasture? And do you think that your being with him has in some way helped him overcome some of this stuff?
I saw a strong, dark, sexy man walking through that pasture.
Of course you did.
And yes, I do believe that us being together, our union has changed. I've seen a big change in Marvin. He's expressing his feelings a lot more, and that's communication is key to anything. And we have
And
our bad
trust too.
days. He has his bad days. Oh yes, and communication is what is the shake hands with trust. So you got to have both of those as well. You're right,
And I imagine, Marvin and Tanisha, that your faith has a lot to do with it. Has that been the glue?
yes,
it is.
Without God, none of this would be possible.
Yeah.
And we know that.
Amy, that's where I meet the Lord, is at the fence line every day. That's where I have to talk it out at. That's where I have to get out there and express myself, out there to the herd. I actually talk to my cattle, to let them know how I'm feeling that day. And Amy, that's how I get a chance to get it out. And then I can go and deal with whatever we're having. Notice the situation is not that bad. It's something that I can come back in and talk to my family about. But sometimes we put a lot of expectation on things because that's the way that we're used to it coming from the military.
Do you think, I guess we should back up just a little bit, and that is that when you did come back stateside after being overseas, fighting for your country, it wasn't really until you decided, how many acres did you buy? 42 or something?
Yeah. So, Kevin, it's a lot of data to talk about into that portion that you just mentioned there. That is a window from where no one wants to see them going through anything. That's where people mask the hurt and the pain at, because you always want to be seen as being strong. I compare that statement to myself being a lion. Now I have a thorn in my paw, and I don't want anyone to see that thorn in my paw. So I get off to the side where no one can see me try to get this thorn out of my paw. And that's my daily struggles, just like anyone else. Um, Even anyone that's hasn't been to war, someone that's been through something traumatic, relationships, car accident, anything. It's just not veterans that go through this. It's just to the point where people dealing with mental health, whatever they're dealing with, need to just talk about it, seek help for it. It's okay. I'm a grown man and I cry a lot. It's okay. It's okay now. Now I could speak to my family and I don't have to hide behind that. I have a lot of nightmares, a lot of bad dreams, bad days for no reason. I don't know why. And I'm trying to work that out.
Yeah.
But now I'm to the point where I could talk it out. But that is a place right there for where people need to be honest with themselves and say they need help. To reach out to subject matter experts that can help us to get past this thing instead of carrying that heavy load in our backpacks for so long.
Yeah, because I can just imagine, Marvin, there's a real stigma. I mean, you come from a military background. There's a real stigma when you come back into civilian life to say, how do I have that conversation? I mean, who do I talk to? Because you have this idea of strength that you need to maintain, and yet there is strength in vulnerability. So you're learning that. And so, question for you: how is the Farmers Veterans Association? How do they help the coalition? How does that help you?
Believe it or not, the word of the day with the Farmers Veteran Coalition is resources. Um, Today, we're having a lot of problems of finding the right information with today's technology and then walking into our local extension agencies. A lot of our local extension agencies still have a lot of old technology or old newspapers and even things on VCR tapes. Um, Michael O'Gorman and Jeanette, their team, they turned around and put together a, a team of people that can find the local resources with the local agriculture colleges around the world, and then teamed up, getting that into a data form from where we could find the latest data of dealing with our soil or our cattle, our livestock, or whatever it may be. They helped us with finding those right resources.
Tanisha, how can you tell me how having a herd of cattle has helped that man sitting next to you?
Well, Kevin, it helps a lot. Like you said, when Marvin has bad days, I'll see it and I'll say, baby, you need to go out and talk to your boys. And he'll go out and he'll talk to the herd. And when he walks in the herd, you can hear all of the cattle. They're talking back to him, and they rally around him, and it's just a beautiful thing. And when he come in the house, after talking to them, you can tell he's feeling much better. It's amazing.
How does that work, Marvin?
The word of the day is validation. The cattle give me this, sense of purpose of validation, taking care of them the exact same way, brother, I did my soldiers in the military. So all I did was just switch hats, go from one uniform to another uniform. But now, instead of humans, it's now cattle. And that's the equivalent to the therapy part of this whole thing. The cattle look forward to me every single day. They look forward to me taking care of them. And I look forward to taking care of them, to provide a healthy animal. It's accountability. Is You can see the love there, back and forth, and that's what we want to do every day. And that's where the therapeutic part comes together, and being connected, not being around a whole lot of people. I don't like being around people, but being around my family and the herd, that helps me to readjust again, brother.
And Marvin and Tanisha, tell us about your family and how you run your farm and the name of your farm. There's so much information we'd love to know. Let's start with your family and how they help you.
So for me, I started off. So the name Briarwood Cattle Farm is where I came from in Melbourne, Florida. It's where my father named this farm. So that way I never forget where I come from. I never forget my roots, never forget the heritage. I never forget the things being taught. And every day it helps me to create a legacy to pass forward to the next generation, um, of the legacy of Briarwood. Briarwood Cattle Farm is a farm of love, support, care, and passion. Of everything that I need is what I want to help someone else at the same time, give them something that's, a source. So this farm doesn't belong to us. Amy, to be honest with you, it's a family-based farm. That this farm, Briarwood Cattle Farm, belongs to the Lord, and I want everyone to know that. So that's who we are. That's what our farm is all about. Sharing. It doesn't matter who it is. We'll schedule a time together, and believe it or not, that's how we make friends that way. And it helps me to readjust to get back into socializing again, because it's
I'm
hard,
not.
Kevin. It's hard.
Go ahead. It's hard.
It's hard to readjust to that, to be part of something that you're really not used to anymore, socializing or being with people or hanging out with the fellas. I don't do any of that. I just want to be with my wife. That's who I trust. is my family.
I'm not going to talk much about myself, but some of the things that I saw and brought home from being in Iraq, Afghanistan, and other places is that there is that sort of sense of fear that goes on because of the unknown that you are in. You don't know what's going to happen next, and for that reason, you're always on edge. I'm not suggesting that you're Dr. Doolittle here, but what do the cows, what do they say back to you that sort of relieves some of that anger?
You know, Kevin, I don't want you to miss the main part of this whole thing of validation. The validation part gets into the cattle's language, their body language. If I'm moving too fast, they would step back away from me. And that's how I know I'm not doing something right. So it's not a conversation of them saying anything. It's the way that they act. And I watch them, their nonverbals is what helps me out, brother.
Yeah. And they feel your energy. It's energy. They sense your energy. Yeah. And
Kevin, I
Marvin and
want to back
Tanisha. Yeah, go ahead.
It's no difference than having plants in your home. And someone having plants in their home and they're talking to their plants. They're getting a wet paper towel, wiping down the leaves of that plant, adding water to it and said, hey, I haven't been here to talk to you in a few days or to water you. It's the exact same thing as agrotherapy. That's what I mean by that, Kevin. What do you do in a similar case like that? How do you deal with yours?
I take long walks. I go on bicycle rides, and I must say I am very close to my family as well, which is a very important thing. But there is a lot of time spent alone. I mean, that is something that when you first said that, that really resonated with me. That there is a lot of time. I'd like to. I mean, I don't want to say that I spend a lot of time shutting myself off from others. But at the end of the day, I guess that is kind of what you're doing a little bit of until you can start to feel comfortable again. And I guess that's where Tanisha comes in. Is that correct, Tanisha?
Yes. And Kevin, I also want to say, I asked Marvin that question before about, so what do you, when you talking to the cows, why does that make you feel better? And he said, when I talk to them, they don't judge me. I don't feel judged, and they understand me. So
absolutely,
that has a lot to do with it.
That's everything right there, Kevin.
Maybe I should get a goldfish or something, Marvin.
Hey.
And and Marvin and Tanisha, do you invite others to feel that experience with the cattle? Just like horse whisperers, with. And what does that look like? How do you do that?
So we invite the military, veterans, children, our church, communities. We did a Easter celebration. We did the Day of Healing for the veterans. All types of groups come out, and I guarantee you could have never seen an animal before, but everyone who comes, when they leave here, they want to start a farm. And that's all because of this man right here. He will make you, his passion for farming, his passion for the animals can make someone who's scared of a fly want to get 100 cattle. I can witness to that.
Wow, that's incredible.
And it's just amazing.
It's amazing to watch.
It's amazing.
What do other veterans or what do other people who are struggling with these types of situations, what do they say to you, Marvin, afterwards?
If I can give you an example, I just had 2 incidents yesterday. Two two veterans I've never met before. They gave me a call, and we talked. As in the military, we have a certain language, certain lingo, and we understand each other. And they wanted to talk, and I wanted to be an ear for them, to listen to. And they wanted to talk about cattle and the history of them being raised up around farming with their grandparents or their parents. And it's just a way that we could bend ourselves out and to be accountable, partners with each other. And it's something that it's hard to explain, but we're so used to being there for each other, having each other's back so much. We don't have to know each other. We just want to be there for each other. And that's one of the main things that I want to help produce here in this farm, because Kevin and Amy, that's what I need the most. That's what I need the most.
It looks like it really does serve you, you and your family. Marvin and Tanisha, how many children do you have?
We have 6 children.
And are they all
Yes.
working on the farm?
Yeah, well, 5 of them work on the farm. And then we have a granddaughter, and she works on the farm.
Wow. And what kind of work do they do?
Collect eggs, help him herd the cattle up, with the pigs, feeding, everything.
They run the tractors. The kids do it all.
Mm-hmm.
They don't allow me to do it. They just sit back and just allow me to sit in a chair and coach them through it. And I'm glad to do so.
Wow.
Marvin, I was going to say,
Please.
because of his injuries, his knee and his back, he really, the tractor and all that, he's not on the equipment like that. So the children handle that. But he supervised well.
He's the platoon leader.
Yes.
Marvin, how upsetting is it for you to see the suicide rates in veterans who have come home from overseas?
That's a tough one, brother. I hate it. I hate it because we all just want to be heard and want someone to talk to us and hear our stories. I hate the term when someone asks you, how are you doing? And they say, I'm doing fine, but it wouldn't do any good for someone to listen to you anyway, or something to that aspect. I hate that phrase, because at that moment, you never know someone's time or their displacement or what they're dealing with. And we all just want to be heard, someone to talk to, someone to understand us, being available for each other in some way. I know we all have busy schedules, but to let people know that they're valued, loved, and appreciated. That hurts when I hear of someone taking their life that way. That hurts a lot. That hurts a lot.
Is it because they feel that no one cares?
I wouldn't say that. It's a lot of it, brother, is just people not being understood. We can say the exact same thing, but saying it different ways. And then people deal with displacement after that, and then they shut one or the other off. And now that person is dealing with anger, displacement, lonely, ostracizing, etc. And it's just a downward arrow from that point. We just got to be more, we got to go back to loving each other and being a friendly nation with each other, and being accountable partners, checking on each other, get into bartering, anything of a sort to help our neighbors out is what we got to do. And it's not only veterans. It's if you notice, you see CEOs doing the same thing. It's not just veterans. It's people that's stressed. It's how to deal with things. People in professional positions don't see an outlet because of the same thing. They want to be heard. They want to find the right resources. They want to, find a solution to a problem to make things better for their reason. And sometimes everyone doesn't see it that way, or see it as being important to them.
Mhm.
That is a big portion right there of something that's being important to you. That's what I'm learning now. When my wife speaks, I'm learning because that's something important to her. It's nothing that important in the time of the day for me not to stop and listen to her, um, and to move forward in what she needs, because we all need to be validated, everyone.
Yeah, we all need to
Tanisha,
matter.
um, Tanisha, I want to ask you. Every week we ask our guests the same question in closing. And Tanisha, I'd like to start off with you. But why do you believe in people?
Oh, that's a good question. I believe in people because I'm people and I'm just a people person. I just believe in people because they should be believed in. Everyone deserves that, to be believed in,
Hmm.
loved.
Marvin, I want to
Yeah.
ask you the same question. I'm going to ask you a two-pronged question, though, Marvin. Why do you,
Okay.
despite what you've seen, why do you believe in people?
Value, support, love, and passion, brother, is my answer to that. We have it there. We just need to pull it out and start implying it. We need to recultivate our lives, um, and drop the seed of faith, man, back into each other, man, and let's let that grow out, man, so we can pass down to the next generation. We're losing our children. We're losing our next generations behind our decisions as adults. So I believe in people for the next generation.
I have to also ask you, why do you believe in animals?
Because they don't let us down, brother. I'm a huge Temple Grandin fan, and the animal behavior is the animals there that's dependent on us, accountable for us, and at the end of the day, they supply us with um, a great resource for our bodies, a great protein for our bodies. But treating them right is something I'm very big on. Making sure they have the things they need being taken care of. In the military, we would call that soldier care. Um, and now I just transitioned that same thing over to make sure that we're having the same program for our beef cattle to make sure that you have healthy beef on your plate now, brother. So I just take that same principle and just bring it over. And I want what's best for you, my herd, for your family is what I want.
Mhm. Well, I'm looking forward to visiting your farm.
Please,
Yes.
come on, please.
Yes,
Front doors
really looking
open and the
forward to
sweet
that.
tea's on the counter.
Thanks
Absolutely.
so much.
Thank you so much for your time. We are so grateful.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank
Thank
you.
you.
Y'all have a
Thank you.
blessed day.
Thank you
Thank
too.
you. You know, maybe I was being a little bit flip when I suggested Dr. Doolittle and talking to the animals, and obviously that was a huge film, twice, really. But clearly, with this agritherapy, being with animals, peace on your farm, just might be the best medicine available.
Yeah, Kevin, and I agree. I mean, if you think about the therapy and the non-judgment that that Marvin would receive from his animals, and the energy that that's happening there is just really remarkable. And the fact that he's helping so many other people get that same sort of support and help. So what an inspiring
And Tanisha too.
podcast. And Tanisha, just an incredible support. And if you've enjoyed this podcast, we really encourage you to get your weekly dose of hope by subscribing to our YouTube channel, Believe in People. Thank you.
Thank you.